Hey, Hondo.
Yeah,
What you got there?
a fancy new toy. It's like a fancy game of Simon Says. That's what it looks like. Well, as I said, it's fancy version. Most people call it a podcast machine, I guess.
I think it's called an audio console.
Well, tomato, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
I never played Simon Says with the machine.
What the fuck was it?
It was just a person.
No, it's that little thing you got to hit the... Ain't that what that was?
No.
What was that game called? It had the little different colors you had to hit in a certain order?
I don't know. Simon Says was that game where it was like, Simon Says, stand on one foot.
I don't want to.
And then, like, if Simon...
Well, what was the name of that?
Gave a command that didn't say Simon Says, and you did it, then you were out.
What was the name of that?
So, like, if I said, Simon Says, stand on one foot. Simon Says, touch your nose with your right hand.
Right there.
Simon Says, put your foot down. Now, turn around in a circle. If you turned around in a circle, you were out. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, see, Simon. Maybe it ain't Simon Says, but gosh, get some education when it comes to youth toys. I mean, shit. What the hell's wrong with you?
I played the poor people version where you just used your voice.
What'd you do, play with a stick?
You just used your voice.
Simon Says, go get the fucking stick.
You and I were raised differently. I didn't have store-bought toys.
Here we go. Here we go again.
But now I have a fancy audio console.
Yeah, podcast machine.
So, back on track to the podcast.
Yeah, that kind of went off the rails for a second, didn't it?
What is it going to be called?
We're going to call it Blue Collar Boss. And we're going to talk about
I feel like that should be obvious.
Well, nowadays you have to explain things.
Oh, okay.
Probably not so much to our audiences. The people who are going to listen to this, I think they're kind of on the same page as us.
They'll understand from the title of the podcast what it's about.
They probably know how to order windshield wipers at O'Reilly's and stuff like that.
But
if they're still allowed in there.
But for the sake of the podcast, what is it going to be about?
We're just going to talk about all the stuff that goes on a daily basis at work, and all the stuff you got to deal with, and the behind the scenes things, and
challenges of being a blue collar boss. And then to mix it up, you're going to have guests on occasions, right?
Yeah.
And that'll be other blue collar bosses.
Blue collar guys or self-employed guys. We're not going to have any doctors or physicists or anything like that on here. I don't think so.
No astronauts?
No, won't be no astronauts either.
Because we never went to the moon?
Well, I don't want anybody sitting next to me with a fish tank on their head, so that's just me.
So the guests that you already have lined up are?
We have a few already. I think we have Tony committed to come in, and I'm sure Nick will be there. So
Tony and Nick, what field are they in?
They both farm, and Nick also has a shop. So
a little different than your shop.
A little different. He's more in the agriculture world. He does work on a handful of trucks here and there, but...
and then who else?
Probably Jake Renner.
And what's his industry?
He farms and has a tractor dealership.
And then what kind of tractor dealership?
He's a Versatile and a Deutz dealer, and his dad owns the John Deere dealership just down the road. So he's been in that pretty well his whole life. So
not pretty well. He has.
Well, yeah.
He was born into it.
He's born into that. Yeah.
And then who's your first guest probably going to be?
Probably Mike with the weld shop. We'll get him on here and roast his ass real good.
He's also your campaign manager.
Well, that's what he says.
Yeah, self-appointed.
I don't know if I want that job, though.
I feel like you would end up on a hit list if...
Probably.
Because, they only want people in office that they can manipulate.
Yeah, and be bought off and everything.
And you do what you want.
I'm really not that guy. So. Yeah,
So what kinds of things, more specifically, do you expect to talk about on the podcast with the guests?
Well, all these guys, we often call each other, just to kind of toss ideas around and, get somebody else's opinion. I know me and Jake talk quite a bit on stuff, and he's always pretty supportive on things, maybe if it's not even really a good idea. He'd be like, "Hey, Jake, you think I could fly out of the top of that tree?" He'd be like, "I don't see why it wouldn't work." And then shortly after that, he's going to tell you hit the ground. But that's just, kind of how he is. And it goes both ways. One guy's having a bad day or blah, blah, and, kind of listen to each other. And we're
sounding board.
We're not all in it alone, so sometimes you just need to hear a friend and listen to their shit for a little bit and vice versa. And there's a lot of cool stories come out of all this shit too, because everybody relates to everything. And,
yeah, all of it's very relatable, real life.
I didn't even know what the fuck a podcast was until a few months ago. And
yeah,
I was recently on
And how
one.
did I explain it? I said that basically people sit around and talk about stuff and other people listen to it.
And I said, that's the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard. I don't,
and
if
then
you'd told me this when I was 18 years old, that, people were going to sit around and
listen to you talk.
Yeah, I'd been like, you're crazy. But
then you recorded one and you had a good time.
Yeah, well, it was a blast. It was a damn good time. It was like 2 hours and 40-some minutes, and it seemed like it was 10 minutes. Like, it really went.
You said your face hurt.
It did. Fucking hurt from laughing. And one time I had to get up.
And walk it off.
Yeah, I had to get up and walk it off. It hurt so bad.
So you're going to have guests talking about the challenges and relatable content of just real life. This is how it is.
Yeah,
And then there probably will be episodes in between there that you don't have guests. We'll also cover special things that we do. Like we will be going to Work Truck Week, I think. Have we committed to that?
Yes.
And then we're for sure going to Matt's because we have a media pass for that. So
we're going to
So we'll do a lot with Matt's coverage.
I've never been to the farm show in Louisville, but in February we're going to that, which is the same place that the truck show's at. It's just a month ahead.
And Stuart's going to be at that, so we might be able to do a podcast with him then.
We could possibly pull that off.
So
that's not a bad idea. He kind of has some bad ideas sometimes.
So that could be event coverage and guest
there you
podcast.
Go. That's not a bad idea.
So
I'm full of good ideas, if you guys didn't know.
In a few weeks, we're going to Barrett Jackson, so might talk about that and that experience.
So depending on how that goes, we might not have enough money to do anything the rest of the year.
Yeah, you said buy one-way plane ticket out there.
Yeah. We got to buy something to get back.
Yeah. Save money on that flight.
Yeah.
So, and then there will be just everyday episodes too, where we're just covering stuff that's happening at the shop and encounters that are going on in your world. And so for those episodes, it would be nice if people submitted topics that they would like us to cover, right?
Yeah, we could, we're pretty fair about picking on everybody, so we can get everybody eventually. We'll come around to your side of the table.
So what topic are you most looking forward to covering?
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
Who are you most looking forward to picking on, maybe, is the better question.
I don't know. I haven't really thought that far.
The Duramax guys?
We need a Duramax. Mike's a Duramax guy. There we go. We'll fry his ass right next to me. He knows it's all true. No, he's a good sport about it. So,
okay. So not the Duramax guys. You're going to be an equal opportunity picker honor.
Yeah.
And you don't know what topic you're most looking forward to covering.
No, I'm sure just like anything else, we're going to start talking about something and it's going to go
sideways.
Yeah. 10 different directions before we get back to even where we started, and may not even talk about it at all. We'll just be like, fuck it. We'll get it next time.
Well, I would much rather a podcast go sideways than jobs at the shop, but.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But those seem to go sideways pretty quickly too.
This is mainly just to be something fun and, get everybody together and have kind of a good time. And
how often are you going to post podcasts?
Well, I would like to see it maybe once or twice a month. You're saying once a week. I think that's a little ambitious. Just saying.
Ooh, there's a lot of ground to cover.
We'll start walking.
I don't exercise.
Yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes stuff like this, you kind of got to be in the mood to do it, and in order to have a good time doing it. I know there's definitely days, person comes home, you don't feel like doing anything because you're pissed off about something.
We've already got a full calendar, though. I just said Barrett Jackson, Work Truck Week, Matt's, the Farm Machinery Show, all these different guests.
Yeah, we heard you.
You're going to have to do it weekly to fit it all in.
I don't know about all that.
I think so.
I can't even remember all that shit.
We're going to have to hire more help.
Oh, great. That goes back to what I was talking about. That adds more shit to the fucking pile.
I'm going to need more help at the shop to free you up for podcasting.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, because the shop is your bread and butter.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to, talk about stuff we've learned the hard way, which I think, in my opinion, that's the best way to... I mean, it's lessons you don't forget when you learn the hard way. Anybody can read something and be like, oh, well, that works. But then, when you actually truly screw something up or it costs you money, it's usually something you don't forget.
Well, you shouldn't,
or
but...
a project that you're working on that, really stumped you and then you finally figured it out. It sticks in your head. I mean, I don't care if it's 20 years ago.
Well, it sticks in your head and my head. But I feel like we've hired some employees that have done some doozies. And what about 51st dates?
I don't know how the fuck that girl got to work. She probably did GPS it every day.
You got to tell that story about the turbo.
Yeah, she orders a fucking $4,000 turbo on Thursday. Said it was supposed to be here on Monday, which that's acceptable. So Monday, I'm like, hey, how's that? You heard anything on that turbo? She says, what turbo? I said, the one you ordered last week.
No. That's not how that went. You said...
No, she came back then and said...
Right. Right. You said, what's the status on that turbo? And she said, let me check. And she went and she checked, and then she came back and she said, I ordered it. It'll be here Thursday.
Yeah.
And you're like, you already ordered it last week.
Right. Well,
she ordered a second one.
Yeah, a second $4,000
Who doesn't remember ordering a $4,000 part? That you do it again.
Well, that just goes to show you it's not her checkbook, so she didn't give a shit, And that's sometimes the things you deal with.
But you would think that a $4,000 turbo would stick with you, but...
You would think so.
She didn't seem to learn lessons, even hard-learned lessons.
That one time there was a truck literally sitting right outside her office door, and she's like, what truck? I'm like, I don't know, the one you fucking bumped your head on when you walked through by it? That one?
Yeah, I think everybody's had experiences with those people that have to, GPS their way to work every single day.
It's like, do you have early stages of Alzheimer's, or are you just that fucking brain dead? She wasn't very old, like 35 or so, wasn't she, or something like that?
Well, I think she was younger than that.
Yeah, too young for that.
Yeah.
We're just going to go with brain dead. That'll work. I don't know.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, there's, when all those guys get together and start talking about all these stories at the shops and stuff, and, I mean, there's hundreds of them. I mean, you couldn't even talk about them in 10 days together. So.
The hiring people being the solution is probably not the most feasible solution.
No, and that's one of the biggest challenges nowadays is hiring.
To being a blue-collar
good
boss.
Help. Yeah, good help. So, I don't know.
And it's not even about pay.
No.
In my opinion.
No, a lot of times you can't even get people to commit to interviews. I think a lot of people apply just so they can keep their
unemployment tells them that they have to apply for so many jobs.
Yeah, because then when you say, well, you want to come in, they're like, oh, well, no, I changed my mind. They make up some bullshit excuse.
Or they just will set an interview and not show up for it.
Or the guys you hire that are, master mechanics, they can't even fucking put air in a tire. That's happened a few times. And
yeah.
Like we're gonna have to start giving them like skills tests. Like
which corner of the envelope does the stamp go on?
Yeah.
Not for techs, but for office help.
That was actually a funny thing. It turned into a pretty funny thing. I mean, everybody remembers that video on TikTok. But
which socket is bigger, 1/4 inch or 5/8?
That's a dumb question. It's a good thing you don't work on shit.
No, I'm talking about skills test for techs.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's been a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really care. Like if you hire a younger guy and he doesn't know anything, but he's straight with you and says he doesn't know anything, and you teach him along the way. But when you hire a guy that
claims to be a master mechanic,
yeah, he's worked at a dealership for a year and a half, 2 years, and when it comes time, within usually the first week, you can figure somebody out pretty quick. And it's like, what the fuck did you actually do at the dealership? Were you the guy that just filled washer fluid for the guys, or because you have zero skills.
Yeah, and some of our worst employees have been dealer guys.
Yeah. And there's still tons of good guys at the dealers, but, they're also probably not maybe looking for work, so it's pretty hard to get them away from that environment. And I've worked both. I've worked independent shop or dealership environment, and they both got their challenges. The one fortunate thing we have is we don't really have warranty work to speak of. Every once in a while we got a part warranty, but that's it's not the same as doing warranty work at a dealer day in, day out. But then on the other side of that coin, we work on probably 20 different brands. And
a range of 50 years.
Yeah. Like right now we have a couple of 70s trucks in the shop all the way up to 24. So there's a big gap in technology there, and challenging finding parts for all that stuff. And, it's not like you're just saying, oh, well, I'm going to call the Ford dealer and that's all I'm going to deal with. We may make 15 phone calls every month or not every month, every morning, different vendors for shit that's in the shop.
Right.
And that's not easy,
But yeah, I mean, our employees who have had the highest salary expectations have been some of our poorest performing employees, though, in my opinion.
2 of them for sure, yeah.
There have been some exceptions, but as a whole, it's not necessarily about the money.
Yeah, and like the envelope dude, everybody, a lot of people got on my ass about, well, you should have taught him how to do that. I don't think it's my fucking job to teach him how to fill an envelope that's 30 years old. I'm sorry. I mean, I knew how to do it when I was in kindergarten. We had pen pals.
And they're but people are saying, oh, well, everybody emails now or does this or does that.
You still get fucking mail.
And the thing is, if he is technologically inclined to do things like email, then he should be very familiar with Google.
Yeah, look it up.
Yes, it shouldn't be your job to teach him a very basic skill. Even if he doesn't know how to do that skill, he should know where to find resources to teach himself.
Well, one day we sent him out there. I said, go get the VIN and the mileage off that white Freightliner. And at that particular day, it was the only white truck in the shop. So even if you don't know what a Freightliner is, you should at least know what white is. Maybe a little light bulb goes off in your head, says, I bet that's the one he's talking about. And you walk around in front of it, and sure as shit, it says Freightliner. But he walked right fucking past it. I don't know where he was going. I should have just let him keep going to town and get the fuck out. But looking back at it now, hell, we got a little entertainment off of it, so.
Well, and also, like your tech notes that you'd written on the hard copy, and in the bottom right corner, you wrote the word over.
Yeah, he didn't know what the fuck that meant. It means turn the fucking page over, dipshit.
Because there's more on the other side.
Yeah, and he's like, well, you're going to have to change your handwriting. I'm going to tell you one thing around here ain't going to fucking change, and that's me. So you best either adapt, overcome, or get the fuck out.
Because my handwriting's the one in the bottom right corner of your paycheck.
Yes, absolutely. So I bet you can read that.
Yeah. So employees are definitely a challenge.
And then, we have, I'm almost going to say hundreds of terrific customers. And this is something that I struggle with, is when you get to be friends with these guys, you know, you almost feel bad, you know, giving them bad news. You know, you feel like you're almost taking advantage of something that happened to them, like a massive catastrophic breakdown of some sort. But, you know, I've talked to my mom about this because she owned a business, and she says, well, you're going to treat them better than anybody else. So, you know, they have to pay somebody to fix it. So it might as well be you.
But it doesn't always feel good to benefit from someone else's misfortune.
No, and I've never been that way, and I don't like selling people shit they don't need. But for every 10 or 15 great customers you have, you get that one fucking peckerhead that just ruins your day. I mean, just straight out of the gate can send me completely off the fucking chart. And
derail everything.
Yeah. And every shop has that. Every business has that. You know, it's just a different, you know, like Mike at the welding shop, you know, guys do that shit to him too. You know, he tells me stories about this, and, you know, it's the same thing, just different player, basically.
Yeah. Same game, different player.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions that when you have guests that I think you're going to cover with them. Oh, wait, you got
one of the other things that, I mean, Tony's touched on this before too, like all the fucking salesmen coming around bothering you. And it seems like once one shows up, there'll be one there every fucking half hour for the rest of the day. It's like, what the fuck? Did they just pick me out of a map today and be like, hey, let's all fucking go here today? And it's like, sometimes you just don't have time. It's not that you don't want to maybe talk to them or hear what they have to say, but you don't have time, you know, because if you stop and talk to everybody that comes in the door, next thing you know, it's 3:30, 4 o'clock, and you really haven't got anything done.
I think that's where, though, we're struggling. We really need a good shop manager, service writer, parts person, whatever you want to call that role.
That can be like a gatekeeper.
Yes. You need somebody in that role so that you can be left alone to do what you do best.
You know,
So that brings me to, that segues nicely to that question.
I did on purpose.
Did you get into this because you always dreamed of business ownership and having your own business, or did it just kind of happen?
Well, when I was younger, I worked at a Freightliner dealership, and then I never really thought about working on anything on the side, but it just kind of started showing up. You know, you do a little project for friends and family, then they tell somebody, and next thing you know, every day you get home, there's something sitting in your driveway that needs worked on, and it's like, well, that's all right. Well, then that almost got to where I was spending just as much time doing that as my 45 hour a week job. And it just kind of got to the point, it's like, I can't keep doing this, you know, especially when it just becomes impossible. You know, there's too much things going on in your regular life, and to spend 8 hours there and then 8 hours at home, and especially in the summer months,
to keep from dropping the ball.
Right.
You had to commit one way or the other.
I mean, hell, that one place I worked at, they
so basically you side hustled too hard.
Yeah, they told me one time, they said, you're one of our biggest parts customers, and I worked there. So I was buying parts there, taking them home, working on shit at home, you know. And yeah, and I got into trucking for a little while and had guys running trucks, and that was you know, the trucking and mechanics kind of goes hand in hand because you can kind of keep them fixed at a cheaper rate than somebody that can't fix them themselves.
So you have less overhead in it. But
then, you know, then you get into the drivers, and that's a whole nother game there. And this last go around when I had trucks, I was right around COVID and everything, and I couldn't fucking deal with it anymore.
It was also the same thing. Like, they were both growing too fast, and you had to dedicate time to, you had to choose.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't working doing both.
Because we had several good drivers, but we had a couple that were kind of a pain, and then we'd try to hire some, and they wouldn't show up, and you'd already promised the work, and you know, you can't do business like that and have a good business. So I just opted to, I think the license plates came due on them, if I remember right. It was around June, and kind of like, well, we might renew the plates on one or two of them and then park the other ones, see what happens. End up, you know, sold all of them but one pretty quickly, I think. I mean, it was just kind of luck, really.
Well, and the other one, we didn't sell it because we weren't sure we were going to.
Yeah, we kept it for a long time.
It wasn't because there was anything wrong with it.
Yeah, we kept it around just in case we did want to do something, later on down the road. But
it was paid off, and there was no reason to jump the gun on that.
Doing the mechanic work, I just finally got to where I'm like, well, I can't really tell all these people no, because you kind of get to be friends with them, so you build quite the clientele over a fairly short amount of time just from word of mouth. And probably one of the things I struggle with is telling people no sometimes. And I don't really have a problem with it if I don't know the person, but when it's somebody that's a good customer of ours, I struggle with that. So, like I can already tell you tomorrow, we got a lot of shit going on, and they're all equally good customers. That's what makes it hard. It's like, well, I can't put him off. So, but at the end of the day, it always works. I don't know why I get so spun up over it, but I do. It's just my personality, I guess. But
so, with that being spun up, would you if you could go back in time, would you make the same choice you made and go off and do your own business? Or do you think you would rather stay as an employee in the trade and focus on just that and not the business ownership side?
If I had to do it over and, let's just say hypothetically I was a fortune teller, I would have probably started it 20 years ago when I think it was easier to hire help. I think that would have helped, and have decent guys that would stick with you, throughout the duration versus now trying to build it. Because I've used that example before. Like, you look at some of these dealerships that are enormous, and when they started back in the 70s, 60s and 70s, there's no fucking way they could do that today from ground up. I mean, there's no way.
So you would still want to have your own business in your trade that you have, but you would have done it earlier in life than what?
I think I would have done it earlier. I put myself through a lot of bullshit. I should have just bit the bullet and did it sooner, but instead I was trying to do two things at once. And I mean, it got to where it was a 7-day a week thing, evenings, weekends, and, which I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm the one that did it. I bought a lot of tools, bought a lot of equipment, and, it was all little at a time. And the next thing you know, it just turns into what it is. But it all started out from basically,
So the only regret is not doing it sooner.
Well, nobody can change what they did before.
No, you can't go back in time. This is hypothetical, like if you could.
Yeah.
So the regret is not doing it sooner.
Probably in my case, yeah. But
so if there's a younger guy thinking about doing it, your recommendation would be?
Well, we actually just had this conversation
at the party,
at the Christmas party with a young guy, and I told him, I said, just get after it. Don't be scared. I mean,
yeah, the work will come as long as
you're a good mechanic. Word of mouth is, and there's a lot of stuff we can talk about, like mistakes I've made. And I mean, I'm not picking on anybody that sells ads or anything, but I don't feel like I've got my bang for the buck out of them versus other forums, like the TikTok platform. We've got more work from that doesn't cost anything versus $2,500, $3,000 per year billboards. That the one people mentioned them was the ones that already came to our shop. They're like, hey, that's a cool billboard you got. Well, fucking thanks. You want to give me some money?
You got a hydraulic job once from a billboard.
Once.
But yeah, the ROI was very low.
No, and some of the
on your marketing budget.
Magazine and radio ads, and every time you turn around, somebody's sticking their hand out wanting, hey, you want to put your name on a coffee cup at a restaurant? Not really. I mean,
we did that, and then we went into that restaurant, and they didn't even give us the coffee cup that had our name on it.
Yeah.
We got like a Santa Claus or Mickey Mouse coffee mug.
But all them guys, I call it the table of knowledge. All the old guys sitting around the table bullshit, and they're going to talk about it anyway, whether you got a fucking cup in front of them or not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all the kind of advice I would give younger guys, if they are going to get into it. Just, if you do, I think there's an old saying, like, you do a bad job, that person can tell 10 people or something like that. If you do a good job, that person may only tell one, but the word of mouth spreads pretty quickly, especially in smaller rural areas.
If you're doing a good job, but that's where you need to focus is on
on the work.
Yes, the quality of the work.
In whatever field you choose to be in. I mean, I've done this long enough now, and all these blue collar contractors, basically, whether it's an HVAC guy, welders, farmers, construction guys, carpenters. I mean, all these guys, one thing they have in common, they have trucks. I mean, very few of them are driving around in, cars doing their job. So I've got to know tons of these guys over my time of doing this. And, all those fields are excellent if somebody wants to get into them,
Oh, all of them are hiring.
Yeah, all of them are hiring. And some of them that, like, you get into some of the electrical trades, or I'm just using that example, but like the apprenticeships. I mean, if I was a young guy and wanted to do that again, that is absolutely how I would do it. Because you're getting paid to learn. You start out, I'm a dumbass. I can show up to work. That's it. You show up every day. They start teaching you. You're actually making a wage while you're learning. You're going to take a lot of shit, though. I mean, they pick on you. So, I mean, if you can't take that, it's probably not your blue collar trades. Is not your thing anyway. If you can't take a little joking.
Trash talk.
Right. But I mean, I paid money to go to school for a year, and I don't regret that. But looking back at it, I don't know if I could have got a job somewhere else and been somewhat of an apprentice. I don't know. I mean, that's all things like I said, I'm not a fortune teller, so.
I think that with not having family in the industry, the school kind of helps you with those connections.
Oh, absolutely. It's a damn good foundation, and I know what it costs then, in student loans, and that school's the same school now is almost double the cost of what it was when I went, but that's been pushing 30 years ago.
But like around here, the high school kids can do vocational high school their junior and senior year.
Yeah. And
we've had several kids from the vocational school come through.
And almost all of them have done pretty well.
Yes.
And that program I really like because they have that co-op program where, the kid can come work for you for half a day, a couple days a week, and you can kind of get a feel for him whether or not, hey, he's going to make it. You'd potentially hire him, or, I don't think this is a good fit.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of places too, though, they hire these young guys and then they make them take out trash and sweep the floor. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be the low man on the pole's kind of his fallback job whenever people are busy.
Bitch work.
But, nobody wants to go to work and just take out trash all day. You got to do a little bit of, I've always kind of had the mindset that I'm going to lay out in the rocks just the same as I'd have one of my guys lay out in the rocks.
You're not going to ask anybody to do something you won't do yourself.
And if I got a spare minute and the trash needs taken out, I'll do it,
But it does make sense from a business perspective to have the lowest paid person doing non-billable work.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to have your high-paid technicians doing work that you can't bill to a customer.
Right, exactly.
So
But
that's a lot of times why that happens.
Well, that's every dealership's kind of like that, and shop. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the game. But chances are, if you show a lot of initiative, especially in today's age, I mean, you're not going to be in that role very long. I'd say less than a year. We had one young guy; he couldn't even put a tire on a truck, and within 2 years, he was overhauling engines. I mean, that's a pretty big improvement, But he showed up every day, and he was a go-getter and willing to learn, and
Is that the same kid that was standing under the lift on a ladder?
I don't think so. Yeah, these are all good stories we could talk about. Yeah, we've seen some shit.
I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Or they'd have a truck on a lift and then be using a creeper underneath it. It's like, that's bizarre, but okay.
Do they not know how the lift works? Maybe that should be day one orientation.
When we pull the transmission out of them, especially like the bigger trucks, we'll do everything in the air on the lift, but then we'll let the lift down, and then because the transmission jack won't go high enough to pick them up all the way up in the air. So then you're kind of on the creeper, but that's just for a few minutes. This was like the whole job. I'm like, what the fuck was the point of tying up the lift?
Well, why would you have a ladder under the lift?
Yeah, let it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
so maybe we need to add that to orientation.
Yeah, I remember too when we started out, our handbook was like half a page. Now the motherfucker looks like a Sears catalog because every time somebody does something stupid, you got to add something in there. There for a while, I thought I was going to take the fucking bathroom door off.
Yeah, those bathroom breaks were getting lengthy.
I told those guys that the AJ was, I said, if it takes you 40 minutes to take a shit, you need to go to the doctor. Sorry. Well, you can't. I said, I'm going to take the fucking door off. You can't do that. You want to watch me? I bet you don't sit there on your phone for 40 minutes. You get in there and get her done.
I was threatening to buy a cell phone jammer.
Yeah, cell phone jammer, or put a fucking basket outside the door where you got to leave your phone in it. And, it's been a good time. All the stuff you learn that you don't think about, and
Well, and I think part of the challenge for you is that you were always a good employee. Like there's good employees, just like there's good customers and bad customers, there's good employees and bad employees. And you were always a good employee, so you just assumed everybody else would be. And that has not been the experience. And I mean, honestly, you probably should have kind of known that because you worked with other people as coworkers that were probably bad employees, but you weren't thinking of them in that sense because you weren't their employer at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been some doozies. So these will all be topics of conversation on Blue Collar Boss.
I mean, you give people nicknames and stuff, and I don't remember what it was. Jake was telling me some guy that works down there for him, and he kind of bounces back and forth between him and his dad, and he's got some nickname. I don't remember what it was, but I guess he, kind of likes to get in the middle of everything and kind of creates little problems that probably don't need to be there, but I don't know. Person sometimes puts up with a lot whenever the person's a good worker too.
Well, and I think people put up with more. I personally think that employers put up with more now than when we were coming up as employees, because employees are just so hard to come by. And it's like, if you don't put up with this behavior, the next person might be even worse.
One of my friends drove a truck for me for a little bit, part-time, and he was always, well, I'd fire him if I was in charge. And it's like, well, if you fired everybody every time you got crossways with him, you wouldn't have nobody fucking working with you in a week.
Maybe that's why he doesn't own a business.
That's probably right, yeah. Yeah, I don't think he's got the right mindset for it.
He was a military guy, too, and I think he would be shocked at the military now.
Yeah, I'm sure shit's changed a lot since he was in there, too.
And so, but I think that's what kind of molded him to being a good employee, was because of the discipline and the things that he learned through the military. But I don't know that people are getting those skills now.
Things are definitely different.
Everywhere. Military, business, school, home.
Some of the stuff that, people our age kind of take for granted knowing, I guess they just don't teach it anymore. I don't know. I mean,
like cursive.
Well, even besides that, I mean, just basic math skills. And I don't remember 20 years ago people bitching about
not being able to make change.
Yeah, I don't remember that being like a topic of, and they didn't have the little fucking automatic thing that spits the coins out at McDonald's back then. I mean, it was all pretty much by hand. I don't know. Of course, now there's probably 90% of people going to a gas station use a card. I know people don't carry a penny on them. I think my sister's like that. She hardly never has any cash on her.
They're doing away with pennies.
Well, you know what the fuck I mean. God dang.
I'm hoarding all the ones that I have now. I had just taken all the change to the bank, and then the next week they announced they weren't going to do pennies anymore. I was like, oh, those are probably worth a bunch of money.
I was kind of wanting to pay my property tax with pennies at one time. Remember that? I was going to get a wheelbarrow full of them and take them in there.
Yeah. Well, was it your property taxes, or was that Department of Labor thing?
I don't remember, one of them deals, but I was advised not to do it. I'm like, well, I don't feel like unwrapping them all of them anyway, so. Because I wasn't going to give it to them wrapped. I was going to make them count it, motherfuckers.
So, any final thoughts on why people should listen to Blue Collar Boss?
Well, I'm sure it's going to be quite comical. I'm sure probably everybody can relate to shit in one way or another too. Because everything we talk about usually, 100% of it's true. It's all real life experiences, shit we run across, and I think that's what makes it kind of fun because then your buddy's like, oh yeah, I had that same thing kind of happen, and
it's kind of like therapy.
It is. It actually,
you're just talk therapy. You're just venting out.
Yeah. You're not the only one that's got to deal with some of these dipshits in life, and but no, I think too, like I've had a lot of younger guys talk to me about stuff, and I think really if you can keep them in the trades, because there's a shortage in every one of them. You need to get more of the young guys in there and, maybe give them some pointers. Whether or not they're going to listen to you, at least you told them,
All right.
Because, I really didn't have, I could talk to my mom and dad. My mom owned a business and my dad had a business on the side, but it was in a completely different field, so it's kind of hard for them to relate to.
Well, and it was during a different time.
Yeah.
So, because we already talked about that, like how your regret is not doing it sooner because things were different for them than they are for you. Different challenges because of the
and how to
time in the workforce and.
If you got a certain amount of money, how to prioritize, what you need to purchase for equipment. And, there's been a lot of guys, they want to drive fancy new semis and shit like that whenever something that costs $20,000 will do the same job,
Yep.
And then you can save up your money and, maybe pay cash for that nice shiny semi versus making payments on it. That way when you have a slow day, it doesn't really matter if you're working or not.
There's a time to finance things too, though. Use the bank's money instead of your own money.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not completely like Dave Ramsey where, you got to fucking pay cash for everything or you're going to drive a Ford Taurus the rest of your life,
No,
But you have to be smart with the interest you're paying and stuff like that.
Right. But, we do have equipment finance.
Oh, yeah. And not being upside down on stuff. That was a mistake I made years ago when I was young, and I told myself I'll never do that again. And I haven't, so...
Right, having money to put down on it, but financing balances.
Making smart purchases at the time,
Yeah.
And using interest in
a lot of that comes with experience, but.
Right.
So people need to subscribe, follow, do all the things so that way they can be alerted to the next time because there's more to come.
Oh, yeah. We'll either piss you off or you'll like it, one of the two. You'll probably like it. I think the people who are going to listen to it will have a good time.